What up? It's your boy T-Bone on Reaction. Today is Wrestling Wednesday. We're continuing more of the tens of wrestling as well too with Walt Culture. Now we're doing another third of 10 moments of wrestling that you forgot or don't remember as well too. And this time is 10 forgotten WWE authority figures you totally forgot. And we had some authority figures here and there that came and went as well too, including at one point we had celebrity general managers run with celebrity general manager each of different weeks on Raw. You know, because WWE was desperate around this time because they was only competition. They thought they could do whatever they want, and I'm sorry, they didn't have nobody to give them a little competition to step up. So there's that. So anyway, without further ado, 10 forgotten WWE authority figures you totally forgotten, you totally don't remember. Let's get it.
WWE has had a ton of authority figures over the years. Some good, some bad, some dreadful, and some you've likely completely forgotten about. That brings us nicely to this list right here, baby. Because I am Gareth, this is What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 forgotten WWE authority figures you totally don't remember. Number 10, JBL, NXT General.
Yup. People don't know, before it was Regal, JBL was the GM from NXT. Because I called it when NXT started coming on the network, and when the network started and they showing like they had like previous episodes of NXT before their official rival premiere. He was on there as a GM. Even had I remember when he did the strip page of the NXT title because she won the WWE Divas title. So yeah.
Manager. Now, NXT general managers you definitely will remember will include Hot Seat Original Dusty Rhodes and William Regal. Yeah, that man should be legally obligated to yell War Games at least once per year. Yes. Both legends gave the third brand some credibility, so it's not hard to see why Triple H figured a former world champion could do the same. JBL just was not cut out for that role though. Layfield became NXT GM in September 2013, and he'd stay in office until July 2014. His replacement? The aforementioned Regal. And that is really when fans remember NXT getting good, isn't it? JBL's time in charge was largely background, although he did cut a fair few promos in front of crowds about how he planned to take NXT right to the tippy top. But if John was playing My GM mode in WWE 2K24, well, he probably would have failed. Like me, to be honest, I am bloody terrible at that thing. There was no way that NXT was beating.
I don't blame you, dog. That thing is so... That has got to be... that GMO is not... I'm not gonna lie, it's hard as fuck, though. It's hard. I ain't gonna lie, man. It's too much, man. That's why I stopped playing that, man. The GMO as much. It's too much. Don't blame you at all, dog.
Raw or SmackDown here, especially when Vince McMahon was still around. The show just wasn't a priority despite some killer matches, which is presumably why hardly anyone recalls JBL as boss at this time. Number 9, Booker T, SmackDown General Manager. So I've been watching SmackDown since 2004? And even I only remembered that Booker T was the Blue Brand's GM when recording the words for this list. That says it all, really. The ex-WCW favorite was installed as SmackDown GM by Vince McMahon in August 2012, and he'd last up until July 2013. For the record, his eventual assistant was long-standing incumbent Teddy Long. Holla holla. Eve Torres was part of the management group too, but she didn't actually have the necessary powers to do anything without clearing it with Book. In fact, Booker's entire run as GM just seemed to exist so he could respond to things that Eve and Teddy said with a quick, tell me he or she didn't just say that. Long just started making matches without Booker's say-so anyway, and then the Hall of Famer took time off to heal up injuries. He was then replaced by Vicky Guerrero during his comeback. You won't really miss him much if you skip Book's time in charge, though. He didn't really do that much. Yes, I did just say that. Now I've got a quick question. Who is your favorite authority figure in wrestling history? You let me know in the comment section.
This is tough. Nick's been doing his thing. Eric Bischoff, I guess. But I will say it's top between out of this four here, top between Tay Long and William Regal is for sure, man.
Down below. Number 8, Tiffany, ECW General Manager. WWE's vision for what ECW could be turned fans of Paul Heyman's original niche product right off. After launching as a fully fledged third brand in 2006, ECW quickly turned into Sunday Night Heat more than a viable alternative to Raw or SmackDown. And by 2009, it was a developmental show akin to the old Syndicate duplicated efforts from the 80s and 90s. In fact, it had even less star power than those, to be honest. Tiffany was announced as the new ECW general manager in April 2009. She promised to make the show great again, but the truth, well, it hurt WWE. Nobody was watching, likely because, well, nothing of note ever actually happened during this so-called Extreme Weekly. Why would you bother? Vince McMahon then shut ECW down in February 2010 and replaced it with the reality show NXT. And the rest was black and gold history. But what did Tiff do as ECW GM, I hear you ask? Well, not that much really. ECW only had an overseer in the first place, so WWE could continue pretending it had value as a standalone third brand. Hardly anything of note occurred under Tiffany's watch, which is why she's so forgettable. Number 7, Armando Estrada, ECW general manager. Umaga's old sharp-suited manager was also ECW GM for a while. Armando Estrada's sleazy presentation should have made him a banker as a corrupt heel authority figure. But there was just one problem here, folks. WWE fans had already sniffed out that ECW was not a priority to the creative team, so interest in the show was low by the time that Armando became GM in August 2007. The main story thread running through his entire stint was a rivalry versus would-be WWE star Colin Delaney. Remember him? The indie workers strived to earn a company contract, but Estrada was there to play Vinnie Mac light and shut him down. Riveting stuff. I mean, it gave the show something to shout about every week, I guess, but not much. ECW was still very much third-rate. Armando was ultimately removed from his position and replaced by, you guessed it, that man again, Teddy Long.
Hell yeah, because I remember, they talk about it.
June 2008. In storyline, WWE's mysterious board of directors suddenly decided that paying him as an active wrestling talent and GM was just far too much. Okay then, if you say so. Number 6.
Yeah, I remember that too, because he was, and then Taylor was putting him in matches to earn him a contract of his job back, and he just kept doing him dirty, yo. I remember that. It was hilarious. Yup, Lieutenant Commissioner.
6. Deborah, Lieutenant Commissioner. Now everyone remembers how charming Mick Foley was as WWF Commissioner between June and December 2000. The commish helped push programming along and felt like a babyface breath of fresh air after years of McMahon-led heel antics. What you might have forgotten, though, is that the Mixter didn't thrash out decisions on his own. No, Deborah was his assistant as Lieutenant Commissioner. This started in October when Foley decided that he needed some help. The Commissioner decreed that Deborah was a fair person who didn't have any skin in the game. Of course, that had changed once Steve Austin turned heel in 2001, but Debs and Foley had already wrapped up their double act by then. Deborah didn't go off on her own and make matches or anything, but Mick would often lean on her advice by asking, "What do you think, Deborah?" That gave segments involving the commish another dynamic and meant that heels couldn't just vent their frustrations to Foley. In other words, it actually worked. I know, what a world. Cheers for checking out this list of forgotten faces today, my friend. If you're enjoying yourself, then hit that subscribe button and you will get more wonderful What Culture Wrestling lists in your life. And you might get some other stuff too. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Number 5, Palmer Cannon, Network Representative.
Oh, Lord. I'm about to get in trouble because I actually remember this dude. I actually remember him.
Right to censor was the WWF's way of biting back at the Parents Television Council and critics
I actually remember him. That's funny part about that.
Nature of Federation programming in 2000.
Random, but I remember.
Successful enough that WWE fancied giving that spin another go following backlash on the Muhammad Hassan character in 2005. Enter Palmer Cannon from The Network. Note his not-so-subtle initials. It isn't hard to see what WWE was going.
Damn, I ain't thinking about that. Interesting.
For here is it. ECW hardcores will spot the similarities to old TNN exec Cyrus the Virus here. Cannon smiled as he introduced himself to SmackDown GM Teddy Long, then immediately started going behind his back to make decisions on behalf of the network. That included making title matches and debuting new characters. Cannon even unveiled the Juniors division, which it failed. This wasn't the most memorable time for SmackDown.
Oh god, I actually kind of remember that, the Junior division. Yeah, I actually kind of remember that as well too, because I think they was like, because like I said, for a minute, you may never know, SmackDown was like, not only the hot spot, it was also like half half for the veteran, also half NXT in a way, bringing in new guys in there as well too. Of course, Palmer can't be one of them, but still.
Let's just put it that way. And that is exactly why Palmer is on this list. He'd end up leaving WWE abruptly by February 2006, citing harassment from JBL within the cesspit of wrestlers.
Why are we not surprised, man? We already know the story about JBL, man. Behind the scenes. Jesus Christ.
court as his reason for resigning. But in kayfabe, the network apparently didn't feel like sending another stooge to replace Cannon. Number 4, Sean Morley, Raw Chief of Staff. Raw was a trip during the second half of 2002, folks. WWE's ratings ploys included booking hot lesbian action and the dire Katie Vick angle that included outing Kane as a possible...
You had to remind us of that bullshit.
necrophiliac. Lovely. Where was Tony Schiavone to sneer and say that'll put butts in seats when you needed him, eh? Jokes aside, the content was utterly awful. Eric Bischoff was actually a shining light as brand GM, to be fair. But then WWE decided to muck that up too by making Val Venus his assistant in November. Actually, this wasn't porn star Val. No, this was Sean Morley. Or Chief Morley, as Bish referred to him as on screen. Morley's gig was to mop up any messes that Eric created and infuriate babyfaces into the bargain. This droned on until May 2003 and was just completely forgettable. Future co-GM Steve Austin later rehired Morley under his old Venus gimmick, and the whole Chief experiment was very much downplayed. He hadn't really achieved much, if anything anyway, so that was probably for the best. No butts were put in seats, but at least the Val Venus name is being put to better use today. Click this link if you don't already know what I'm on about. Number 3, Johnny Nitro, Assistant Raw General Manager.
His real debut. Before MMM, his real debut.
Yeah. That didn't stop WWE from trying again, though, did it? Bischoff got another assistant in March 2004. Johnny Blaze, Nitro, Spade, depending on the week, showed up to offer his services. And it was implied that the surname Nitro would inspire Eric to return to his glory days of booking the hottest show on television. Yet Raw actually wanted to become Nitro circa 1997. Nitro didn't last quite as long as Chief Morley, though. He was only assistant for 3 months before the idea was scrapped in June. Bischoff fired Johnny when he lost a match to babyface pest Eugene. Nitro turned into a full-time wrestler after that and formed MNM with Joey Mercury and Melina before later being renamed John Morrison. And that was the last time he was ever renamed. Oh, wait. His 3-month run as Bischoff's second-in-command didn't exactly make a splash with fans, like at all. It was over in the blink of an eye, and the whole let's turn WWE Raw into WCW Nitro concept being teased was never going to gain any traction either. It was all a bit odd. Number 2, Maven, Raw General Manager. One-off GMs are nothing new in WWE. The promotion has put someone in charge for one night only a bunch of times over the decades, but it's typically a guest celebrity or a major star.
I don't care. I enjoyed the Muppets as GM. That was a fun episode of Raw. I ain't gonna lie. I don't care anybody can downplay or not. That was a fun episode when the Muppets was on there.
For example, on the 15th of November 2004 edition of Raw, big names like Chris Benoit, Randy Orton, and Chris Jericho revealed they'd be calling the shots for a night over coming weeks. Then there was Maven. Yep, Maven. The first male Tough Enough winner said that he wanted to be large and in charge too. This was allowed to happen because Eric Bischoff was put on vacation by Vince McMahon ahead of eventually being fired as Raw General Manager. The flagship was in flux, in other words, so Maven spotted his chance to make a big ol' impact. The future YouTube smash hit announced that he'd be wrestling Triple H for the World Heavyweight title in the main event. This was all done to sell
I might have to check out some of his YouTube videos. You know, Maven's got a lot of YouTube videos involving wrestling, just like JTD does as well too, so I might think about that.
Chaos of a program without authority, basically. But just about everyone really forgets that Maven was ever in this spot. Until now. I'm sure he'll do a big old YouTube video about it. And number 1, Michael Pena, guest Raw General Manager. Right, prepare yourself for the most wholesome GM moment in WWE history. Bless Mick Foley for being the kind of guy that makes stuff like this happen. On the 9th of April 2007 episode of Raw, WWE welcomed young Michael Pena on behalf of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Michael was in attendance with his family for the show, but Foley had a surprise waiting. Pena was going to become Raw GM, at least for a couple of minutes. Pena announced over the live mic that John Cena would be defending his WWE title in a 4-way versus Randy Orton, Edge, and Shawn Michaels at Backlash later that month. The kid was understandably a bit nervous, but still received a pop from the crowd. Mick was on hand to help guide him through the promo too, because he's just a lovely guy. In effect, Michael Pena became Raw's top authority figure for one segment on the show, and in a properly sweet moment he later told WWE.com that performing is scary because you never know what the reaction of the crowd is gonna be. What a pro he is, and I'm glad he got a great pop. We salute you, Pena. Have you enjoyed this WWE list today, my friend? Then why not go and check out this 10...
I'm curious, Make-A-Wish is like for kids, they, that's, dealing with some things. I'll put the right pin there, Make-A-Wish. Let's see, was that the did he still live or not? I wonder that too. Is he still alive or not? Oh, that's somebody different. What's it? Cause it said somebody at Kansas State team got shot and dead, but it's not him. Thank God. All right, but I didn't. He did something later in 2018. Went to what's his name? You can if anybody knows about this kid and see if he's anything updated on it, let me know for sure. But other than that, this was a good little list to check out as well too. So I'm gonna end off with that. So possibly, but other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T signing off. One love.